Okay, so we've talked about a whole raft of things that we believe we can bring to you to give you some greater understanding of yourselves, and giving you a great understanding of your music, and give you hopefully a better chance of achieving your dreams. Now, I'd like to kind of sum this up really in many ways. We call this the human experience. Sounds pretty obvious, but I think really ultimately, when you boil this whole thing down, being a creative person is such a private, personal, passionate experience that unless you understand that, unless you can try and find a way to use that as a positive thing, what you're really doing is kind of missing the point. And so I think a lot of aspects that we're going to bring to this, a lot of the mentoring, a lot of it within our consultations is discussing, you know, one of the key things is like the experience of being in a band or being as a musician versus the sort of the enthusiasm of it all. Because I think a lot of the time it's about trying to manage your own expectations. I certainly find that as a producer that a vast amount of my time is spent managing a band or an artist's expectations about where they're going to get to. And I keep bringing it back. I keep saying, no, look, take a breath. This will evolve if the art is strong enough, if the music is strong enough.
In my own experience, it's working in the music business, both as a musician and as a business person, it's one of the toughest things I've ever done. Because again, going back to the whole passion meets business thing, it's very difficult because you're pouring your heart and soul out into the music, and okay, it might not necessarily be the best thing ever, but it's something you created. So then to put it out into the public and to get critiqued and then to not get the opportunities that you feel that you deserve, it's a very, very catch-22 situation. So being able to have a positive mindset, I would say one of the key things that have worked for me in recent times is working with positive people. And is working out what doesn't work for me and focus on the positivity. Don't fear failure, because let's face it, I think we're going to fail more than we're going to succeed.
That's right. Yeah.
And where we fail on failing is that we focus on the failure and we beat each other up about it. And really, I think it should be a case of I've fallen down, I've got back up, I've learned how not to do that again, and focusing on the strengths. So that's something very positive that you'll get out of doing consultations and workshops with Lightning in the Bottle. Because where ultimately things are going to fall down is if you haven't got self-belief and you don't think you can carry things through. And we can do anything if we put our minds to it.
I mean, I would certainly agree with that. I mean, even you know, from my own point of view, like I say, I've been in this business for 30 years, and I've had huge highs and massive lows. And it is learning to understand that the lows actually are a time where you can recalibrate, where you can take a breath, you can get some distance from where you were before. And I think stress management is very important, very important. I think it can be incredibly stressful being in a band, trying to manage the expectation, because it's such a kind of glorious promise, isn't it? The music business and the idea of being in a band and playing music to people, and because of the history of what the music business represents, it's so potent and has so much promise associated with it that we can kind of run away with that idea. But the reality is, you've got to create something good enough and worthy enough for people to take any notice.